I'll have Ben go ahead and start us off, lead us off here.
Yeah, so my name is Ben Tice, owner and director of Skoll Marketing. We specialize in working with small and micro-sized businesses with getting your business online with like web development and coding, and then enhancing your online presence with building a relationship with Google, like search engine optimization, marketing, social media, and things like that.
That's tough to follow. My name is Joel Schman. I'm with Indominus Media. We specialize in simplifying the process of video for the consumer.
My name is Marty McTeague, and I'm also with Skoll Marketing, and today I'm here to talk a little bit more about social media and how that can help enhance your business.
My name's Kim Albee, and I'm with Janu. We have an email marketing and marketing automation software. We're the only women-owned email marketing solution in the world right now, and we have the best inbox deliverability. So we teach how to build an email engagement engine for your business. We know a lot about what it takes to hit the inbox and how you can build relationships and engagement using email, because it performs 4,000% better than social at turning leads into customers.
I want to thank Skoll Marketing. They're one of our sponsors today. I'm Rob Stark. I'm with Edward Jones. So by day I do financial planning, retirement, investments, all that kind of good stuff. But this is, I was excited by the opportunity to bring Club E to Maple Grove. For those that don't know, there's a couple different groups here in the metro, one in Minneapolis, another one in St. Paul. And I've had a chance to peruse those groups, and I thought, you know, for us over here in this area, the neck of the woods, to bring something like this here, I thought was ideal. So again, thank you all for coming, and looking forward to a great interaction and discussion today. So lunch will be served here in a couple minutes, so feel free to dig into your salad in the meantime. So I'll go ahead and kick us off with our first question for the panel. I'll start with Ben. And so Ben, my question to you that I had was, obviously, web has changed the way we do business. It's changed the way we interact with people. How, as a business, how has web really impacted over, like, say, the last 10 years? And then as a follow-up, where do you see web going in the future?
Yeah, well, so the obvious answer is that studies have shown the majority of people now are going to Google or obviously a website or online to search for a solution to their problem. And a solution could be buying a product, figuring out a service, even just finding out some information. So, that's where it kind of starts. Is just the main thing is to make sure that we have a presence online, so that when people are searching for products or services that we can offer a solution for, and they don't know that we exist, that we kind of have that there. Now, where it's even kind of taken further, even over the past couple years, or 2, 3, 4 years, has been that number has even grown even further. But also, I'd say the trust factor within the web and just the reliance on the web has grown. Again, we don't see as much reluctance with that, and then also mobile devices. And so whenever we build websites or we're getting someone online, it's literally not even, it's kind of funny because we build everything via desktop, but it's really all based around mobile. And with that, it kind of goes with our culture that we want instant gratification. If we have an issue right now, if something's happening in our home, if we're out with our friends and we see a cool pair of sunglasses, if something pops in our mind, we want to search it, we want to figure it out. And that's really where, again, the web and websites can come in handy, and that's where kind of it's tied to search engine optimization. And so that's where we've kind of seen it. And into the future, I think that's obviously even just going to grow continuously, especially with different devices. So things like, again, the watches, the wearables with your glasses, the different types of devices are just going to aid in how people are going to interact with the web. Like a big one that we're seeing right now are like smart speakers, being able to start talking to Google or Alexa and to actually have them kind of be doing the searching behind the scenes and making sure that still we have the solution as a website. But I think what's really going to change is we're probably going to be doing less, again, of the legwork with actually searching ourselves traditionally, like with our thumbs or fingers, and really going to different types of searches is what I think is really going to start changing.
Great. Joel, and video. So video, I don't know about you guys, but I come from an era where I don't even take pictures, right? Like still shots. So video for me is a pretty big thing. How do you take video and apply it to business and what we do every day?
In multiple ways. I think that just someone who, I've been in business for 9 years, and I've watched kind of the evolution of the video and what it was, years ago, you go out and you get a quote from a videographer for video. You didn't even have a place to put it back then, right? So you'd put it on a website, and it would cost you probably 10, 15 grand to work with a videographer. And then all of a sudden, the explosion of smartphones, as we all know, was like everybody can take a high quality video from their phone right away. And so I've watched that evolution over the last, let's say, 10 years. And I've also watched, as I've watched other business owners and things like that, and even myself, like some people are just struggle to be like on video themselves. But the way that marketing is going and the way that business is going, people want to hear your story. And people, if you're not telling your story through video, like pictures just don't do enough anymore. And it's more than just having maybe a testimonial video on your website. It's more than, it's a combination of all the things that are, all the people that are up here right now. It's more than all those things, and it's being able to produce content quickly, efficiently, and to be able to get them on your website, on social media, in an email message, and being able to do that effective and efficiently. I think that, does that answer your question? Like that, and there's never been a better time to be able to do that. I think people are just afraid to step into that space and start doing it. And the longer that people take to get on board, the farther they'll fall behind in business, because it's just people, the way that we consume information is 100% going to be video.
So for that person as a follow-up, so I'm that guy, I find it to be a hindrance, right? Or it's one more thing to do. And quite frankly, even if I did it, I don't know how to apply it. So how do you remove that fear of getting it past, it's simply, I think it's just to do it, and we can figure out how to apply it later. How do you get people past that fear?
So and that's a big thing too. So now you have all this video, right? You hired a videographer, you got all this video, it's cut down. What do I do with it? Where do I go? Do I put it on my website? Do I send it an email? Do I put it on my socials? Do I Snapchat it out? I don't know. There's so many platforms these days as well. And that's like part of what we do is kind of help get you to that point. Like, okay, this one you can put on social media. This video this will go for your website. And I think it's all about planning out ahead of time and knowing where you want what to go. I think so many people get caught up in like they go into, okay, I shot this video, I've got all this content, but they didn't plan where they want the certain things to go. And just like anything in our businesses, you can underplan and overplan. It's just finding that sweet spot of like, okay, I need a couple social media videos that I can repurpose. I need a couple things. And that's the thing about content these days. You can repurpose it and repurpose it and repurpose it. You can use a picture, a video, whatever it may be, for multiple things on multiple channels. It's just knowing what those channels are going to be most effective for your business. Where is your audience? So is your audience on Facebook? Is your audience on Instagram? Is your audience on YouTube? Where is my audience? And then being able to distribute it to those channels.
If I can actually just piggyback off of that, one thing too to kind of go off of your point is, because we deal with this a lot of times, even kind of with websites, or did kind of before, is kind of the apprehension of it. Well, Ben, I've been in business for 20 years without a website. Why do I need one now? Ben, I've been in business for 25 years and never had a video. Why would I do one now? And the thing is, it's like, obviously there's a valid point, but obviously, as we all know, if we're not moving forward, we're moving backwards. And so a lot of times it's education to kind of be able to educate people of the why should we actually be doing this? But then even take it a step further, technology has made it so much easier to be able to create videos. Again, like, yes, we can be on camera, but there are other types of videos that you can do where you don't need to be on camera. So I think that's one thing that even relates to kind of what we've done here, is kind of breaking down that apprehension. And I get that a lot, obviously dealing with a lot of micro businesses, like, well, again, I didn't have it before, why should I do it there? And the two things that we kind of come back with is educating the client on why, and some of the stats that we've already, that we've already thrown out here is a big one, how people are actually diagnosed or consuming media, but then also really having them understand that maybe what you're thinking about when it comes to those types of things isn't as hard as it used to be, because technology has made it easier.
One more quick thing. Here's the other thing too. Professional video photographer, all that stuff was like such a hot thing when maybe 3 years ago. Now what I'm seeing in the trend is, and Kim may be able to validate this a little bit, is the DIY. Like, it's coming, like the DIY, like people shoot, hey, this is where I'm at right now, this is what we're doing, and they post it on their social media all over it, and then those are the things that are getting views, because it's the overused phrase of authentic, but it works, right? They want to see what people are doing in real time. That's why stories are hot, that's why all that stuff is. But those videos are quick, they're easy to shoot, and at the end of the day, you can a lot of times repurpose them. So.
Good stuff. I was going to piggyback on something that Joel had mentioned. So we talk about the social media. So I knew a friend who was trying to describe what their teenagers were doing, and he developed a new social media platform called Space Twitter. This is way back MySpace and Twitter putting it together. So there are so many options with social media. How does a business understand how to leverage each of these different platforms, and what should they be thinking about on that piece of it?
Yeah, so a lot of that comes down to who your audience is. So looking at the different platforms and knowing, all right, if you're going after a younger demographic, there are places like Instagram that are very popular with younger demographics, and looking at like Facebook now, actually it's interesting because it's moving into an older demographic. So if you have that 30 to plus age group, and that's what you're really going after, that is a growing population on Facebook. So knowing and looking at your audience in terms of that stuff is huge, but also what you do, right? So it's not always if you sell products and things like that, you can take pictures of those, and it's a lot easier to take pictures of your products and post those on Instagram, because that is related to pictures. You're using pictures on there. But if you're a divorce lawyer or something like that, maybe it's not as easy to get those pictures, right? That's something that's a lot more difficult to find, right? And so focusing on different reasons to be on those platforms. So if you're a lawyer, for example, that maybe it's more for SEO purposes and the search side of it, because actually your posts are indexed on different platforms like Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, and so when those posts, you post them, Google actually reads them. Okay, and then they relate to your business. And so there is a benefit besides just that interaction, and maybe you won't get as much interaction as, the dog groomer that has puppies, right? But you still might see that value in growing your online presence. So.
And then the other medium that we have electronically is email, right? And I think emails change dramatically over the course of time. So the one thing, and I keep butchering the name of it, but inbox deliverability, right? Did I say it? Excellent. That's changing how we get an email to us. So how do you get 4,000%, right? So how does that happen to make sure that we get that content and into our inbox?
Right. I will say there's a couple things, precursors. So starting with Joel and even doing on social, you're going to have content, right? So if you're going to engage anybody, you've got to have content. And that's a big piece of marketing today. And I think it's a piece that stymies a lot of people. And people will say, oh my God, content is so hard. And then I will ask them a question about their business and they'll talk my ear off, literally. And so I think there's a mindset that content is hard, but it doesn't need to be. One of the things that when you look at inbox deliverability, there are 3 factors that determine whether or not your email is going to go to the inbox. The first one is the servers that actually send the mail. So if you send through Genu or MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever, you send an email to say 100 people, it's going to spread out across their email servers and send out, right? But what you don't know and what's hidden from view is the sender reputation that each one of those servers has. And there's an email sender reputation. It's a number between 0 and 100. 100 is good, 0 is bad. Anything below 90 on a score, and likely the email's not going to go to the inbox. Now, here's the problem. It's invisible to you what email sent each and every of your emails out to what server sent each and every one of those emails out. It's a hidden factor, right? It's because you don't know. So one of the things that we look at every day, every 3 days, we measure the email sender reputation of all the competitors in our space. And what we know is that, and we learned a lot, our sender reputation is always 97 or higher across all of our email sending servers. If you look at, say, something like a MailChimp or an Aweber or something like that, they'll have plenty that are in the 90s, right? They'll have high 90s, they'll have low 90s, they'll have high 80s, they'll have all the way down to some of them are 60. But here's what we learned. we learned that if an email server is in use, you can't not send email through it. So if you have a reputation of 60, you need to send some really good emails through that to start to raise that score up. Those emails are not going to get delivered to the inbox. They're going to go to spam, period. But if you, say you have MailChimp's free service, okay, and you send, well, beggars can't be choosers, right? You're not paying anything, you're sending them. But one thing that they know about you as a sender is that if you're a small business and you have some emails that you want to send out, you go with the free service. They also know that if you get a 20% or better open rate, you're going to be doing a happy dance. That's 2 in 10. Open your email and you're happy. That means they have 8 emails they can use that were gotten in a very good opt-in way, because most small businesses like that, when you're in that position, you're not buying lists. You're actually getting them organically or something, right? So those are good opt-ins. They can send off of their lower servers and raise the rates up. Those people will never see your emails, but you don't know that. So that's one thing that we uncovered through our research, and it's a theory that we have, but it tends to tie out because we manage email servers and we know what that looks like. That's one factor of getting your emails in the inbox. The other 2 are completely up to you, and they're your email sender reputation. So if you send batch and blast emails and only 20% are opening, you're telling the search engines that for 80% that they don't care about your emails. And the more you do that, and the more they don't open your emails go into their spam folder. They'll go to promotions, then they'll go to spam if you're using Gmail. But that's what will happen. Because your email sender reputation, they're saying people don't generally care what you send. Now, if you listen and you pay attention and you segment, which can be done with automation and tools, you can send the right emails to the right people at the right time, and it's not that hard. But the difference is, like, I'll give you an example. We're promoting for an event that we're holding in October. And I went to a list that's really an old list for us. There's like 95,000 people on it. And it's an old, cold list. But every now and then I think, God, I wonder if I send an email, how many of those people we might peel off that list and start being active again. So I sent one email to this list. We had 3,700 people open. I moved those people into a separate deal that then we promote to, okay? And then I watched that, and we even segment further. But just that went from like a horrible open rate that I'm embarrassed to even tell you guys about. And then when I sent to the 3,700, we had a 43% open rate. 43% just sending another email to those people. And now they're engaged at a different level, and now I can start to segment within that, and I'm leaving the huge list alone again. I won't touch it again probably maybe for 6 months or more, right? But at least I could peel those people off, and now I can start to engage them differently. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, is the difference when you focus and send the right message to the right. And so that you have in your purview. Google, everything's Google. Google, we know, is an algorithmic company. You know, they write algorithms for everything. So think about Gmail. Gmail now delivers 60% of all email. That people have Gmail accounts, that's 60%, right? And even a domain email like Janu.com, we run through Google's G Suite, right? So that accounts in there. So if you think about it, and you think about what they know about you, they have a quality score on your website. If your website has a good quality score, and again, this is another thing that Ben could probably talk about more about your quality score, you don't know what it is, but they look at it. So if you're linking to a site that has a bad quality score, and you're sending an email, is that going to go to the inbox? Algorithmically, it's probably not going to make it. So those are all the things that go into this.
So do you think that the numbers that when you hear that email is dead, and like, do you think that's skewed because that number of like 30% open rates or 20% open rates? Do you think that's because of the way the algorithm is set up? Because I know you don't.
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't think email's dead. I think the way people use email is dead. So batch and blast is dead. You aren't going to get the response from batch and blast emails. And we have stats and examples and case studies that show you this. It's not going to work anymore. So you've got to shift if you're willing to shift and go with best practices that do deliver you an engagement system that will yield you dividends, if you're willing to do it, you can get the reward. If you're not, and you're just going to go, okay, batch and blast, that's all I got, you're not going to get the results that you want. You're going to get increasingly worse results.
Perfect. I think there's two things I want to touch on. The first one I'd like to go into direction is content. So from each of your perspectives, how do you have content prepared? Like what should be mindful of what I need to gather to make sure I can get a website built or to go on social media or video or email? So Ben, why don't you start us off with that?
Yeah, the first thing that we start with content is, from a website's perspective, is a sitemap. And so a sitemap is essentially just going to be all the different pages, or really think about your menu structure. So when we start building a website, we start figuring out, obviously, hey, we're going to have the about page, the contact page, and really where content really starts to, where rubber hits the road, is kind of under the service pages. One kind of misconception sometimes, and I get it because it's sometimes design and SEO kind of come head to head sometimes, meaning that we want to be super design heavy, and a lot of the trends with design are more minimalistic, are more just modern in that are minimalistic, but that doesn't necessarily translate to SEO. And so what we do is we kind of look at, again, a kind of a whole sitemap and really kind of paring down your different services to really have different pages and different amounts of content. And again, when we say content, that doesn't just mean words, but obviously it starts with words, but it also looks at pictures. Again, videos can look at some other kind of applications there, but those are maybe going to be your three ones there with words, pictures, and videos to really kind of start to gather this. It's a much easier to build a website when you actually spend some time doing your sitemap and collecting all of your, your content. So just writing as much as you can, it makes it a lot easier working with like a company like myself to be able to then kind of pick up those pieces and start to kind of morph them. And also, if we have a piece of content that maybe isn't 100%, that's fine, but at least we have a base start of it. And so for us, it really kind of starts with that sitemap and really kind of outlaying the content bins that are going to hold all this, so to speak, there, and then it kind of goes into actually implementing it with, again, like Joel or, again, copywriters and things like that to be able to hands on it.
Right. So same question, Joel, for content for video.
Like our process goes, like when I've gotten better at this over time, because from when I started doing video and stuff like that, I was a very shoot from the hip, like, oh, this would be a good idea. And in fitness, that's another bit. I own a personal training company and a gym, and this is how I started getting into the video atmosphere, because that's very simple to, you've watched, take a picture of somebody working out. One thing that I do like religiously is I store photos. So like if I see something, I might take a picture of a medicine ball, or I might take a picture of somebody doing a push-up, or whatever it may be, and I may not use that right away. I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I took a picture, I've got to post it right now, I've got to do all this stuff, and they're not just thinking about for the future. So what I do is I store pictures, and then when I sit down with Travis or Emily or somebody, and I'm okay, we're thinking about whether it may be a campaign or doing something like that, I have content like pictures or videos, I have that stuff already, and I can look at it and say, okay, let's use that video to relay this message, or I can use that picture or whatever that may be to relay that message or get that messaging out there based on the content that we're trying to deliver. Now, whatever your business is, you have certain customers or avatars or people that you're trying to attract to your business, whether it's through your website, through email, through social media, whatever it may be. But if you go to someone who's your social media manager or your marketing person and say, okay, I've got all these videos and I've got all this content, that makes their job so much easier. Or if you're doing that, it makes your job so much easier, and you can kind of almost build your messaging around some of the things that you already have had in place. And that's just what's worked for me. But people have done, I know, like I've worked with a woman who did content buckets. So what are the big things that you talk about? And so we bucket out content things. Like health and fitness is in some ways super simple, but like if you know your business in and out, you know what your customers' needs are, like the content that you're trying to deliver and attract people to your business, it shouldn't be too tough once you get going with it.
Great. So from the social media perspective, how do you prepare for content when there's so many different reasons why you would use Twitter versus Instagram versus Facebook? How do you prepare for that one?
Yeah, so a lot of it, some of it depends on the platform. So, like I had mentioned before, pictures are going to be used on Instagram and things like that. So you have to be planning, all right, we need to be taking pictures so that we can use them on these different platforms. But you could also use them on, Twitter and on Facebook. You might have different messaging with hashtags are going to be something that are used a lot more on Twitter and Instagram, but they're not used as much on Facebook. They still have some value, but they're just not used for what their purpose is. So thinking about those and coming up with that. When you go to events and things like that, oftentimes events have some sort of hashtag related to that. Just taking note of that when you are preparing for these upcoming events or these things that you're working on. The other thing is looking at your business and saying, all right, we're human, and let's show that to our clients or our potential clients online. So what that means is people like to see the behind the scenes of your business. And social media is a place where you want to be, it's your brand, right? And so you want to be talking about your services, and you want to be talking about things like that, but you don't want to always be doing that, because if you always sell, right, nobody's going to go back. And the goal is that they come back to your page for whatever reason that is, whether it's you're an expert in the field, and that's often the case, is you're trying to be the expert in the field. And so you're taking that as an approach of, hey, I'm going to look up articles that talk about these things that I know my clients are looking for, and you're going to post an article and say, here are my thoughts on this article, or something like that. You're going to post a picture of you at a charity ball because you give back to the community, or you're going to post a picture of your employee's birthday because people love to see that stuff. So that personal touch, and then on top of that, you're trying to be involved with video and with pictures and other links and things like that, because as you had mentioned, they're all algorithms, and Facebook does rank your posts in a different way, right? So if you post a video, it's probably going to be a lot higher views and interaction than if you just post a text. So looking at that and trying to think, all right, what are some ways that we can make sure that we have an image for every post, and things like that. Right. So, yeah.
Kim, same question to you for email.
Yeah, I would say, so there's different kind of content, and I would say most of your audience is what's in it for me, right? Most of it's what's in it for me. If all you do is talk about you, they will turn off really quickly. So what we look at is there's a couple different things with email. First, you got to build your list. Well, how do you build a list? Well, when you go down to your website and you're putting your website together, one of the things that you should have on your website, right on your homepage, is going to be, what's your free gift? What is something that's worth it to your perfect potential customer that they would give you your name and email in exchange for it? And you add them to your list. That's one thing. So you've got to have content, at least one download, one PDF, one something that can be right on your homepage, that when they land there, they're like, oh my God, I want to get that. And they add themselves to your list. Now you've got them in your list. How do you engage them? So you engage them with good content. What's the top challenge that they have? What are their issues? What are their problems? If you don't know, you need to interview your perfect potential customer profile and find out, like, what are they dealing with? And then you come up with, what is the challenge there? It could be a checklist. It could be an assessment. It could be a quick guide, a cheat sheet, things like that. Something that takes them not a mile, an inch in the direction they want to go, right? You don't want to answer the whole thing. You want to give them enough where they go, oh my God, that worked. I like you, right? Now you've got some authority. You're building your trust. You continue to do that. So all new leads, we recommend you do a getting to know each other sequence. We call it 3 emails. Why? Because 3 is simple. People go, I can do 3. If I said 5, you'd be like, oh my God, 5. But if I say 3, you're like, okay, I think I can do that. And it's good content that you're giving them. And what you're doing is you're listening. Who's clicking through on the content? It's not any content. It's that when you know the segments that you deal with, and anything you do, there's people that are interested, even with us, people interested in opens, people interested in how to get better clicks, people interested in how to engage people over time, people interested in the metrics, right? And those are different conversations. So what I want to do in my getting to know each other sequence, I want to give people really good things they can engage with, either a blog post or a download that they can bite into a little bit. And when they do click, I can now automatically bucket them. as interested in that. Bucket them as interested in this. So they get 3 emails, we're giving away some really good stuff. And then I go into a heartbeat sequence, which is talking about our blog. I want to blog and have fresh content on a regular basis. Now, yeah, you can post it on social media, point people back to your site, but on your blogs, you also want to have a call to action. If they're really into that blog, what might they want to get as a download that would help them further the action in that area? Those are all ways of content that will keep leads engaged over time and help you build a follow-up system that results in more customers out of your leads and moving them through their process, but you're building trust and relationship the whole way, because it's not about you, it's about them. It's about having them overcome their challenges and all of that, and their pain and all of that to get to the good stuff. And that's your authority. That's where you're going to benefit them. That's why they would want to work with you.
That's great. That's good stuff. Yeah. So on the top of engagements, kind of open it up for a further discussion, but that was my next area. So that was really good stuff there.
So one thing, when I started putting out content or things like what she was just talking about, which is one of the most pertinent things you can understand, I got really nervous because I didn't know, like, how do I come up with this workbook? What is a workbook? Or how, you mean now I've got to go create one more thing? How many of you thought that? Like, oh, now I've got to create one more thing to give away to somebody for free that took me this long. The best thing that I've ever discovered is the PLR sites.
Yes.
PLR sites. It's people actually just go out and create things and then put them on these sites and hopefully sell them.
And it's called private label rights, just so that you know, if you can find good content. So yeah,
So
totally cool.
you can find there's PLR sites everywhere. I mean, you just type it in your interwebs and it goes. And just kidding. But so you can go down a rabbit hole. I'll warn you right now, but it will save you so much time, energy, and money to find something, and you purchase the rights to it, and then you can take it and hand it off to somebody, and you put your branding, you put your name on it, all that, and it's yours. It will save you headaches, time, and money. So when she's talking about having a free offer, but you were like, oh, what am I going to give away for free? Like those types of things. Maybe it's if you're in I just use my industry, maybe it's like a food list that's, you want to track your food, and we're going to give you this, and then we're going to give you this basic meal plan, so when you go to the grocery store, you don't screw up and all you buy is crackers and cheese. So something that simple can go a long way, and it may cost you $4 on a PLR site. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, to kind of go off of that, I was actually going to say something similar is, again, obviously what Kim said and kind of follow up with Joel is, all of these, platforms that we're talking about, if it's social, if it's email, if it's video, if it's a website, you can kind of see it's all coming back to the same thing, is that we have to have the user in mind, not us in mind. We almost have to be soft selling ourselves. How can we be a resource for somebody? If that's via events, if that's downloads, if that's videos, if that's blogs, you have to be thinking about how can I give somebody something that has, again, potentially I can actually then take you, again, that much further with it, or I can, my business can take you even further, but what type of thing that I can offer you for free, essentially, that is related to my services, what can we do? And that could be you creating your own thing, you doing a PRL type of site or content and buying somebody else's, doing video, doing social media, even doing emails, which will probably come back to kind of your blog. And so it's really just kind of sitting down and really kind of thinking, and that's something that we take our clients through too, is looking at what can you offer clients? Now, obviously, yes, we have our services up here, but let's break that down and then really get into what would people be looking for and how do we kind of essentially market that, not only on our website, but all of the platforms here to be able to kind of come back to that. And I think the biggest key here, to reiterate just again, is that it's a soft sell in a way of give back to clients, again, give back to users, whatever you want to say there, but it's really just creating information that cements you as, the other big thing too is it also cements you as an industry expert. One of the reasons that I do a lot of speaking engagements, we do a lot of free information online with our blogs and our social, is that we also truly do want to give back, but it also cements us as an industry expert so that when people really want to find somebody for something that we do, they feel comfortable because it's not just me telling you, I'm essentially validating it with potentially months, years of, information, videos, and all of those those types of things. So it really kind of starts with laying it out, and then just kind of, it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, but you don't have to do everything right now. It's, you can kind of build it towards it.
Great. Marty, do you have anything to add about engagement, or?
Yeah, and on the engagement side of social media, a lot of it is trying to, I'm taking it in a different way of looking for those like comments and likes and things like that on posts, and how do you do that? And some of the ways that you do that are by having that engaging content, so the personalized content, the stuff that you're asking your customers or your followers question. When it's an article that you found that maybe it's on a topic that is a little out there, but you add a little bit of your own flavor to it and say, hey, I like this thought, but I'm curious what you think of this. Asking those questions, that if you don't ask the question, nobody's ever going to comment. And the only comments you're going to see are great job if you post like you won an award, right? And that's great, and that's good to post those things because you will get that engagement. But asking questions is a huge part. But then also videos, posting videos and images and things like that on your social platforms can just draw those comments because. One, obviously with a video, you can really nail down and ask these questions or bring up these thoughts, and that builds up that engagement. And then after the engagement happens, if they comment, making sure to comment back. That is a underserved thing, and it is a trend where social media is starting to see that as a huge thing for business owners and their pages. Is if you're not interacting, they're gonna think of you as, all right, maybe this business owner doesn't care about their social media, so maybe we don't promote it to their users as much. And that is how the algorithms start to think. And so the more you're interacting with these people, you're thanking them, you're writing a conversation back and forth, that's where you can build that more comments, more engagement, and then people know to go back and ask questions because they know that you'll respond.
Great, good stuff. Well, I want to make sure that if you have any questions out here, that you guys have a chance to ask away. So we're kind of at that moment. Any questions from the group at large?
I'll just, follow up the engagement. So, for example, like if you put something out there and you think it's amazing, of course, but and you get maybe a couple of likes, and do you do anything more in terms of interacting? Do you just let it go? Do you post a, you know what I mean? Like just, can you do anything to kind of beef up the engagement, even if you've asked a question, if it's, thought-provoking, if it's a true or false, if it's a, like there's only two answers, or whatever it might be, but it just is kind of like crickets, or maybe you get like a few likes or something?
Absolutely. So sometimes that happens, right? You're gonna post something and it was the time of day and the people that saw it weren't the right people. Right. And so realizing that is important because not everyone that likes your page or whatever is gonna see everything. So realizing that is important. It would be great, and Facebook used to kind of be that way. But when somebody, if they don't comment, if it's something that you're really focused on and it's like an event you're promoting or something like that, you can boost that post to now you're looking at, all right, I want this to be advertised to my ideal audience, and so now new people are seeing it that maybe didn't see it before. So that's one way to do it. It's kind of a pay to play sort of mentality, which is the new thing that has kind of come out on social media. But then also just looking at what's working. With your social media, you may see that maybe questions aren't working, but when you do a video, they're commenting, or when you post the true or false, maybe that works and the question doesn't work or something like that. So there is a bit of testing that is involved, and that's I think across the board of all marketing is you're doing these A/B testing and trying to see what works, and when you find what's working, hit it home and keep doing it, replicate that.
So somebody said this to me a long time ago. They said, everything you do is a test, right? So you may have something, like Marty said, you may just hit the wrong time, the wrong whatever, and it is pay to play. Fortunately and unfortunately, it's pay to play. So if you're a small business owner, medium-sized business owner, to get your stuff seen, it gets harder and harder, especially depending on what platform. And I know this is kind of crossing over into, but if you're creating a video and you think this is an amazing video, oh my gosh, I can't wait for people to see it, and your mom liked it, and your brother-in-law, who you don't like very much. So I think that understanding your algorithms, and it goes back to understanding your audience, your algorithms, and who you're speaking to, but be you, like be loud. Like if I was gonna shoot, I'll shoot a video right now and say, hey, we have a question right now. We have a question right now. You need to comment below don't stop watching, comment below and tell them what to do. Like people need to be told sometimes when it comes to it, and it's a test, right? So then if you get a lot of comments and you really want, but that drives your algorithm up, right? So it drives that who's seeing that, the more comments, the more things, the more interaction that you have, because that's the algorithm right now. The more interaction you have on posts or videos or whatever that may be is going to drive that higher to an Explore page or the higher in the feed and certain things like that organically versus pay to play. So understanding what platform that you're posting on and who you're speaking to and all those things to get that interaction on your post, I think that can be done.
There's not a silver bullet. Is honestly what it. What the reason I'm trying to say that too is because you were almost talking about so say this post isn't really performing. Is there anything I can do to that particular post? And really kind of think about it's a marathon, and so we have to kind of, and so you can also repurpose it potentially. Maybe you make it into a different type of media. You're doing the same type of thing, but you're making it into a different type of media. But besides really kind of boosting, there's not a ton that you can do for that particular post. I always compare social media to kind of fishing. Is that again trying to figure out again, the lakes are going to be different. Again, and then there's also higher probability. Doesn't mean because you do something or even you listen to all of us and you do it at the exact same time that it's going to work. It's more of a probability. I could go out and again be fishing for a certain type of fish with a again different type of pole and catch them maybe. But if I go at the right time of day, if I'm using the right bait, I'm going to have a higher chance to kind of do it. And so that's the way that I kind of think about it and really understanding that it's a marathon.
Or puppies and babies. Those things always go
just-
really
just
well.
focus on
Puppies and babies.
You'll get
Puppies and
lots,
babies. Yeah, all the likes.
Or get married or whatever. Yeah, post those.
Cat videos is a thing too.
Yeah, I also believe in the whole thing around testing, and some things just aren't going to hit.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? They're just not going to hit. I remember back in the day when I was just starting to really get my feet wet in marketing, and I did this thing, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it was how to get leads with today's technology. Like how to get hot leads with today's technology. And I thought, oh my God, this is like, people are going to just come and download this in droves. Well, yeah, maybe 10 people, right? And so then I took, but I was like, the content's good. So then I took it and split it up into different individual pieces, and that did a little bit better. But then I hired a copywriter to work with me, and we put it back together. We did this little booklet that we had to send through the mail. We wouldn't let you download it. It was like send through the mail. So you had to opt in and give me your address and everything, and then I would send it to you, right? And we had 1,000 printed, and I think those went like hotcakes. People opened them up, and when they got them in their mailbox, because nothing was going through the mail at that point, it was when direct mail took a real hit, and for that moment, they would open the envelope, they would pull it out, they would look through it, and I knew I had their undivided attention while they looked through those little 21 pages in that booklet. It was like so fun. And then we got people commenting, because we point people back to a site. And so then they come in and they'd comment about that. But that was the same exact content and it was called Effective Online Marketing in a Nutshell, as opposed to Getting Hot Leads with Today's Technology. You know what I mean? And it was written completely differently. But it was the same sort of content was in there. So don't give up, but just know not everything's going to hit.
Yeah, just kind of more of a general question. With the 5G rollout going to happen, is that going to be changing a lot of the content and the focus or strategies that you guys would want to do?
The network. So, I mean, like, yes and no. Obviously, it's going, so for those that maybe not understand it, just, the 5G network, we have 4G, with a lot of our devices and stuff like that. They're rolling out the 5G network, which makes it even faster just to get kind of stuff. So I would say it doesn't really change the necessary strategy. It just, honestly, it just reinforces that these types of things that we're creating here, websites, video, social, will just be that much easier to do, that we're not having to wait around for load speeds, which, when we talk about SEO, we talk about load speeds and things like that, especially with video, and stats have shown if a website doesn't load usually between, you see different stats, but anywhere from like 3 to 5 seconds, a lot of times people will bail. Video is sometimes 2 to 3 seconds, people will bail. So it'll just really kind of help the distribution of it, but it really isn't going to necessarily affect the strategy, because you still should be doing these. If anything, it just should reinforce why we should be doing these, and another kind of thumbs up for it.
So I work for a company that basically what we do is provide information, and that's all we do is provide information on what's going on in Wright County as far as economic development. How do you keep people coming back for information? Like, there's always some that they do want and some that they don't want. What's the best way to kind of decipher? And some of it maybe is better to share in email versus social media.
Right. I'll take a shot, but I would say that you should know your audience. So people, who's your primary customer? New business owners or small business, or?
It's kind of everything. So it's kind of hard because like we have some businesses that are members already of the partnership, and then some that we want new businesses, some we want up and coming, like they're expanding their business or something like that.
So what I would say is that you have multiple personas of people that you're targeting. So you have to understand each one. So it's not like a one-shot deal across the board, because then you do shallow and wide, nobody cares. So what you want to do is you want to say, okay, pick one of those personas, find out what are their things that would really be helpful for them vis-a-vis what you do. And then you start to develop that content for them, and you develop other content, and just start with small content. It doesn't have to boil the ocean. It just has to make a difference, like an inch of a difference. And they go, oh, cool, that was valuable, what else, right? And then you can follow up. And if you follow up with email, don't put everything in your email. Send them to a blog post, send them to an article page, whatever. Give them a teaser, send them so that you know whether they were interested in it or not. Because open rates aren't your best metric with email, okay? So that's what I would say, is really get to know those personas. And it's the hard work. It's not the easy work. It's not what work any of you like to do. But if you do it well, it yields unbelievable results, because then you can target really clearly and you understand those challenges, pains, fears, all that stuff.
One thing too is like video. How many of you lately have watched a video on whether it's a website, social media, or you got it in an email, and the person is, so today in my business we did this, like, we're in the business, like if you're in business right now, we're in the entertainment business. If you're getting into video, you have to entertain. And if you're not entertaining, find someone who is, and make it funny. People like funny, right? So, hey, I'm not funny, so I've just hired Marty because he's funny, and he's going to talk to you about, and that's funny right away. I think it's funny right away.
Funny looking.
Funny looking, whatever it may be. But we are in the business of entertaining. And so if you're talking about something with Wright County, and I don't quite understand exactly what your business is, but to me, like if they were sending me a video about Wright County, I'd be like, who cares? You have to entertain people. If you like want to attract a business owner about letting them know what's going on for why they should be in business in Wright County. I don't know if that even applies, but that, like, nobody really cares unless they are meant to care, or you engage them off the bat. Have a prop, something funny, something offlandish. I've tried everything. I had a cat video that I literally said, now that you've watched my cat video, I want to talk to you about Apex Personal Training. Like, seriously, like I did that, and I had more views and likes. And I guarantee you, because nobody cares about my fitness, they cared about that cat. But they watched the video, right? And then you And then it becomes about the process, like Kim talks about, then following up, then they click on something that gets them through, and it all started with a cat, right? But it has to be entertaining, and you have to understand that, at least on the video side, you're in the entertainment business. You're not going to entertain people. They're not going to watch your video, and then none of this even engages. So that's at least from the video standpoint. Go ahead.
One quick example on that, we try to engage in LinkedIn and several different platforms, and one thing that went viral was planking video. I videotaped it. It was just an office Friday, and we do 2-minute planks. So I went around with well, 1 to 2 minutes, depends on that. So I went around, and there's like 15 people planking, and it looks kind of awkward. So I shot the video, and then I tagged our CEO that, hey, we're focusing on the core, are we doing the right thing? Bad joke, but anyway, posted that, and that went viral. It was like 1,000 likes, and every like pinged on our CEO's cell phone. So the next morning, he's like, my phone has been pinging the whole day.
But that's awesome. It just goes to show, like, something like that's entertaining, that, yeah, maybe cheesy and like whatever. Sometimes cheesy is exactly what works, or even be cheesy, call your cheesy out, and then keep going. So it's like, something like that is the prime example of something that took probably little effort to put into.
Yeah, very little, yeah.
You videoed it with your phone, you hit it, you tagged maybe the right people. There's other people who were probably in the video who went and liked the video. It pushed the algorithm to the top so more people saw it, right? And something so simple that can be done so simply. And it took little to no effort outside of the plan.
The other thing is knowing the audience a little bit, and going piggyback off that, where it's like some of your people might want to know exactly like all of the details and the numbers and whatnot, and you probably know who those people are. And if you don't, it's great to find that out. All right, send it to them and figure out what the open rates are. I'm sure the full information stuff, you're not going to want to do that on Facebook or Twitter, right? You're going to want to do something a little bit more fun or engaging. You can still trickle those things in there to keep that idea out there and to keep that audience engaged. But having we're involved in the community. Here's what the community brings. Focusing on that side of it, I think a little bit more in terms of like your situation a little bit.
This is really good. And what you raised, how many of you have taken like Myers-Briggs or, one of those personality deals where they put you in a quadrant and there you are? Okay. So when you look at things, just think about it like this. There's certain people, and I'm going to break this down very simplistic, because you can use any of these models in the way you think about your content. So if you're somebody who loves to act spur of the moment, okay, kind of creative, spur of the moment, you'll respond to something like, hey, I had this really crazy idea. I think we're going to take this thing and we're going to sell it for like $47. That's like 83% off, but I'm only going to do it for a little while. So I just thought I would put it out there and see. And that kind of an email might get those people. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's that spur of the moment kind of thing. It might get them. But then there's other people that want all the facts. How many of you are here, you want all the facts? Like, I always got to line up my ducks. I got to know what I got. And they want answers. So the next email you send out is, hey, we got all these questions. And you come up with like 4 main questions that are there and present for people, and you answer them. And that answers that need for the people who are the analytics that need to know the answers, all of that sort of thing. And then the next one there's people that just love the community. They like to network and community and be with people. They want your testimonials. They want to know what kind of community you've got, what kind of thing is going on. So those kind of messages resonate with them. Same subject, but do you see how the different messaging, different ways you talk? And then there's the people who never want to be left out. And that's when you've got a deadline and today's the last day, and they're going to be buying in the last minute because they don't want to be left behind, right? They're the competitive ones. And so, and that's just one way to break it up. But any of those tests, they give you different personality types. And I tell you what, if you gear some emails, you'll start to see who those people are. And it's very interesting because people who like community really like community. And people who need all the facts and are the analytics, they really need that kind of content. And so you want to appeal across the board. So you got to think about that.
That's good stuff. I know we're getting close to time here, and I want to be respectful for our panel. I know there's some meetings that have to take place, so I want to thank School of Marketing for sponsoring the event today. And in closing, though, 30 seconds, lightning round. Just give us one last bit of food before we take off.
Yeah, I guess mine is, we didn't really talk about a ton of SEO, but a lot of the things, as like even Kim talked about and everything, video ranking better really kind of comes down to SEO. And SEO is like having a business relationship with Google. And how you build that business relationship is you start by like essentially having a website and having all these platforms developed, which is kind of connecting to Google, and then building off of them and building that business relationship with Google is creating more content, creating more videos, having social, getting reviews, sending out emails. So that's one thing I'd like to leave you with, is that think like SEO is kind of the thing that is the invisible thing that kind of intertwines between all the stuff that we've been talking about, and it starts with laying down all your foundation and then building off and building that business relationship with Google by creating content.
Once again, hard to follow. No, I'm sure I know if I was sitting maybe in your shoes and had no idea. Everybody, we talk about all these things. You hear about all these things in your business, but it's like, now where do I go? How do I implement them? Like, what are the next steps to, what do I do, right? Like, I've got all this information, and sometimes information overwhelms people, and a lot of times people are overwhelmed, they do nothing. When it comes to the video piece, at least, I just tell people, just start, shoot one video, and you can practice. You can practice on your toilet, you can practice in the mirror, you can do, I do my best work on the toilet sometimes. So I wash my hands, it's okay. But seriously, like, just start and play with it. Like, set yourself a deadline and say, I'm going to post one video, or I'm going to create one video, and I'm going to post it to my business page by this date, and practice like once a day, and you're going to get good. And don't be overly critical either, because people want to speak to you. They want to hear you speaking. They don't want to hear a recited thing. They don't want to hear, so today in my business, this is what happened. Like, nobody cares. Like, they want to hear you talking about what's relevant to them. And I think that's been a big thing. So just start doing it. So start that date, 30 days, maybe 10 days, whatever it may be, and just do one video, because that one video will carry to the next, the one carry to the next, and you'll get more confident. You'll be really good at it.
Marty.
Yeah, so I think coming up with a plan with social media and looking for that engagement is huge. So I talk about the sort of 1 out of every 5 posts do a salesy one, and then the rest of them are more soft sale, where you're talking about you're talking about a background thing, a fact that might interest your clients, finding an interesting article, posting a goofy picture of you on Friday or something like that. There should be some that's about your business, because you are in the game of trying to connect and sell them in some capacity, and that should be something that they're aware of. But then when you're doing these posts, ask, put a question in there, be creative on that, and look for those comments, and then when they do, comment back. So that sort of reputation management, where if they're commenting, you're commenting back. Same thing with like reviews and things like that. I'm sure you've heard. Make sure you're commenting and responding to reviews. So yeah.
Yeah.
30 seconds to you.
I would say, as business owners or businesses trying to do all the stuff with online marketing and digital marketing, what you end up with is all this stuff coming at you, and people saying, oh my God, I got to do this, or you're going to be in oblivion, or I got to do this, and you don't really get how it all comes together. And so as I've worked with people, one of the things that I've put together and I have coming up is an event called Marketing Exfactory Live in October 18, 19, 20 in Minneapolis. And where we really do get your arms around all of it. We do deep dives, and what you end up with is building your, what I call X Factor action plan, which will help you really make sense of all the different things and come up with your strategy for implementing it. So if any of you are interested in finding out more information, I will make all of you a special gift. If for those of you interested, just bring your business card up to me, because I didn't mean to pitch, but it's like what we're talking about and all the great content that's been here. That's something that I see a lot, and our Marketing X Factory Live is designed to handle that and get your arms around it so that you really are clear about going forward. So if you're interested, I can make a gift of that for the people here. Just bring me your business card, and then I can get in touch with you.